So I'm gonna do this video again. My grandfather and my grandmother owned all this land. Look, all the way down to the park. And it was then bought by the church. It was a veterinarian on the other side of this pole. But look at all the land we owned. All this was ours. It was a cutoff point over there somewhere with the church. But look, and we lost it when my grandmother passed. She sold it, and we owned, my grandmother owned some apartments on the other side of the railroad tracks. But this is why it's important that brothers and sisters, I'm gonna tell you guys, as I said in my last video, the last time I was here, Dre and I is on a quick getaway for the weekend. I'm gonna go visit my grandfather. My grandfather's buried on the other side of the park at a Lincoln cemetery. And but it just goes to show you, man, when brothers and sisters don't get along, this is what happens. Look at all this land. Look at all this land, dog. It's a handful of acres, man. All the way down to the park, wherever it cut off at. Our house was right here. This was our house. This was our house. You see where their land cut off? This was where when I told you guys, when I came for the summer, this is where we played. This was our land. We played all the way back here. It was all ours. Insane, crazy, makes no sense to me. But yeah, man. I remember that tree right there. Damn, that tree got to be 100 years old, man. We had we used to dry our clothes outside, and we used to sit, because on Portsmouth Boulevard and Frederick Boulevard, this is a main drag, and we used to sit on the top of the roof. Not on top of the roof, but on top of the front door awning, the front door roof, the porch, the roof on the porch. We used to sit and watch the traffic and throw rocks at the cars as kids, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. My grandfather's house was right here, man. He was my superhero, man. As much as I love Malcolm X, I tell you guys, my grandfather was my too many memories here, man, in the summertime. Family reunions, cousins playing, eating. And my grandfather was a glue to the family. January 1995 he passed. January 1995. Cancer. But I know everybody has someone like this in your family, and hopefully you guys are able to leave a legacy. You know what I mean? I had fighting aunties and uncles. You know what I mean? And they couldn't get along, and they just divvied it up in money. My grandfather passed before my grandfather passed before my grandmother, and because they wasn't getting along, she just chopped it up in money and gave them money and didn't keep the property. But this was ours, man. I wish I could buy it. I inquired to buy it a handful of years ago, and this church owns it. This church owns it. This was where my grandmother had her funeral. My grandfather had his funeral, but at a smaller church. It was this church, but a smaller one. It's since, as you can see, it's a newer model. So, but man, this is where I spent my summers, man. This is where I spent my summers, man, as a kid, man. When I was in New York, this is where I spent my summers, man. Running around in this yard, getting bit by mosquitoes. Yeah, lightning bugs. They don't have lightning bugs on the West Coast, but they got lightning bugs that fly, and at nighttime they light up. All this was ours, man. We had a basketball court in the back. We had our family reunion all in this lot, man. All in this land. Man, now I understand, like, when people go visit, like, the slave quarters in Virginia. I'm in Virginia now, but in Virginia and you know, New Orleans, and you have a sense of nostalgia, emotion, feelings. This yeah, man, it gets to you, dog. So I'm not gonna cry. Yeah, you always say I get emotional. I cry real quick, but and let this be a lesson learned too, man. You never ever know. And this video, and I know Lincoln and Kennedy will watch this video at some point. I just have one wish, man, because I'm getting cremated, and so I won't have a burial site. I just want Lincoln and Kennedy to come by my grandfather's and my grandmother's grave at least once every 5 years and put flowers, man. That's all I ask. You know what I mean? Dre and I will have them. We'll have them well. You know what I mean? And lastly, I said this the last time I was here a few years ago. Hold on. I'm telling you guys, hold on. Fight for your property, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, if you would have saw me as a kid and my background, you would never ever guess the level of success that I would have attained. And because I've accumulated that level of success in Los Angeles, it would have been nothing for me to come here with $250,000 and take care of this property family. Property tax probably was like $300. You know what I mean? I could have rebuilt, I could have remodeled, I could have expanded, you know what I mean? And but man, it's just so painful, man. We got so many damn memories, man. Falling asleep, watching my grandfather fall asleep, watching the Yankees play, because in Virginia, New York teams and Washington DC teams are Virginia's teams, you know. And we all sat at the dinner table and had dinner. And this is why I hate grits. My grandmother made me eat cold grits one day, and I threw them up, and I haven't had grits since I was like 10 years old. 9 or 10 years old, man. So great memories, man. I wish I could not necessarily go back and relive them, but I wish I could be like, see it from like 50,000 feet and relive those moments from 50,000 feet. You know what I mean? Because if you go back in time, you don't know that you would end up this way. And I believe I have the greatest children in the world, man. And I think Dre is the greatest woman in the world. So I don't want to start over, but I would love to go back and relive. But that's why they say memories last longer than people do. You know what I mean? And it's all my young men and young women that are gonna watch this video. You're gonna watch my video. Value your grandparents, man. Value your aunties and uncles that put that extra oomph in you. You know what I mean? That give you that self-belief. It was my grandfather, man, and my grandmother every summer, man. Every summer I came down here and spent the whole summer until it was time to go back to school, man. Even when I lived in California, my grandfather sent for me in the summertime, and from elementary to middle school. And this is where I spent my summers, man. I did in high school because I was a pretty good basketball player, so I had to do summer basketball and stuff. But man, what a time, man. What a time. My grandfather loved me to death, man. He loved all his grandkids. He loved his kids to death, man. And I honestly wish my grandfather could see me now. If you believe in heaven, yes, he sees me now. But all this was ours. Look, this was the house. This was, because their property line stops right there. This was where we hung our clothes at, in this dead brush right here. And we own all of this. And the damn church bought it. See, the church bought it. So I don't know where the property line was, but the church bought it. And we had all this land. Insane, man. Insane. I remember running across this yard, having fun with my cousin Buck and my other cousins, man. But anyways, man, I love y'all. At the end of the day, I'm doing this video for Lincoln and Kennedy. You know, I mean, I just got one wish for Lincoln and Kennedy, man. You know, Frederick Douglass and Portsmouth. Come here once every 5 years when I'm gone, and put some flowers on my grandfather and grandmother's grave, man. Damn. Yeah, y'all have a great day, man. Memories last longer than people do, y'all. Peace.